Hello ladies and gentlemen and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast it's the football podcast. It's just the three of us this week. Matt is still not here, but we are still keeping on with all the football goodies, and we still have Matt's predictions and last week's predictions, next week's predictions, all the predictions to go through. So it's all fine. We're still here, we're still doing it. It's all good. Before we get started, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. Share the podcast around, people. That's the biggie. Share the podcast around. Right, anyway, let's get started. So here we go. This is CookieCast, football podcast.
Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome along to another week of the football podcast from us here at the CookieCast Podcast Network. For those of you watching on the YouTubes, sadly, still only three faces. Mr. Moore will be back. He will be back. I do promise you that, but sadly, he's not with us once again, which means it's just three rudders to this particular ship. Almost certain that is incorrect. I'm not a sailor. Well, I try my best. I have no idea. Yes, myself, Mr. Cook, Mr. Woodmansey. How are we this week, gents?
Yeah, all right. You?
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah. Football, not my favourite thing at the moment. So we had three games from this week. The first of which was an FA Cup tie. Only Nottingham Forest left in the FA Cup, as both of Middlesbrough and Hull found themselves dumped out unceremoniously at the third round stage. So, yep, just down to Forest to have our input left in this season's FA Cup. This one was live on ITV1, and obviously because it was an FA Cup game, it would be played at the weekend. Absolutely not. They chose to play this one on a Tuesday evening. Nice trip just down the road from Nottingham to Exeter, I would imagine. Now, I missed most of this game as I was actually watching the Manchester City Real Madrid game at the same time. So sadly, I can only comment on the what happened after the 90th minute. A little bit of foreshadowing there. Did you watch the whole game, Stu?
No, because, and I'm pleased that Matt's not here for me to admit this, if he listens back, I'm sure I'll get a text message. I also watched the Real Madrid Man City Real Madrid game because I forgot the Forest game was on as it was being played on a Tuesday night.
We'll do what we need to do, and that is, of course, blame the schedules for the oversight on our part. So, I'm trying to think if I actually did see the goals. I saw the highlights when they were sort of going through the game when it went to extra time, and Exeter took the lead in the 5th minute when Josh McGuinness scored. It took Forest 10 minutes to equalise. Roman Sosa got the equaliser. They were ahead after 37 minutes when Taiwo Awoniyi managed to score. Exeter got themselves back into the game in the second half after 50 minutes. It was McGuinness yet again. Exeter had a man sent off. Let me just find the minute, as I believe they played a rather large portion of the second half with 10 men. Yes, debutant, no less, Ed Turns was sent off on the 87th minute. Now, was this the challenge on Awoniyi? No, it was the challenge on Morgan Gibbs White, wasn't it? That got him the red card. It was. I can see why some people thought it was harsh. It was very clumsy. I don't think he's gone to sort of like do Morgan Gibbs White by any means like of the imagination, but it is clumsy, and he's almost like fallen into him, but with his studs up and around his knee. So you can understand why the red card's been given. So was that put at a massive disadvantage for the rest of the second half? And it was after they got the red card that Taiwo Wanyi, did he go for was it a header?
Yeah, he went in for a header, and the goalkeeper went up as well. And I think the keeper just full on clocked him in the face with his elbow. But
A lot of blood.
It looked a little bit innocuous at first, but by his reaction, it was a bit like something's happened there. And by his reaction, I don't mean he was massively angry about it. I mean, he was laid on the floor, possibly not knowing who he was. Some very strange arm movements, and when the camera panned round, like one side of his nose was just completely pouring with blood. But it was that horrible thing where none of the players kind of like knew what to do for a couple of minutes, because it was like, is it bad? Is it not bad? And then the cameras didn't show any of it from that point onwards, and the players almost broke off into groups of three and like kept like doing sort of like warm up stuff. So you knew it was going to be a while, but he got stretchered off in the end. But I suppose the good part, if there is a good part, was that he was like sticking his arm up and like thumbs up on his way off on the stretcher. So he must have sort of come round a little bit. But yeah, I think it was one of them ones where it was probably worse than it looked at first.
Yeah, not ideal. Hopefully, it's one of those ones where he has to sort of go into concussion, sort of like I was going to say concussion protocol. This isn't the NFL, but you would imagine that he probably won't be in the squad for this weekend's game, as a precaution rather than anything else. Obviously, if he passes all the concussion tests and stuff like that, you would imagine they may be tempted to take him with the squad at the weekend, but if they can get away with it, probably give him an extra couple of days rest and stuff like that to see if he can get back to full fitness, and then bring him back into the squad. So it was obviously like he got the injury as they were ticking over just past 90 minutes, and I think had they already added on 10 minutes anyway.
Yep.
And then obviously he was down for a further 10 minutes, so they played almost until like 110 minutes. It was almost as if they'd already like completed the extra half an hour that they ended up going on to play. But like Stu said, obviously, large break in play where the players were trying to sort of keep warm and keep themselves like sort of in sort of game mode and stuff like that. And when the game restarted, Exeter probably should have won it right at the death. Actually, they had a chance where the guy was clean through, and dragged his shot past the left hand post. Yeah, not a great finish by the Exeter guy. So we went into extra time. I think Exeter had a couple more chances, and then Forest hit the post through Jota Silva when it looked like he was fairly sort of clean through with a chance to win it. But I think it's one of those ones where he's got it out of his feet and he's gone for power rather than trying to place it in the goal, and it's not come off. So end of the 90 minutes, end of extra time. So the game finished as a 2-2 draw and went to penalties. The difference between the two sides at this point was the fact that Nottingham Forest scored all four of their penalties. Exeter missed the first two of theirs. So obviously there was the debutant Ed Turns that got sent off. It was another one of the debutants who missed his penalty. His name escapes me, however. Let's see. Angus MacDonald, potentially. I think he missed the second penalty. Or did they miss the first two penalties? No, McGuinness scored first. Then Forest equalised, and then they missed the next two. Yeah, that was it. So yeah, Forest progress 4-2 on penalties, find themselves in the next round. I've already forgotten who they will play in the next round. Let me see if I can find it. They will now play Ipswich at home in round 5. So an all Premier League tie, but obviously Ipswich were in the Championship last season, so you'd imagine that Forest should probably be favourites for that one. Predictions-wise, no one gets any points for the result because no one had a draw. I mean, I could be giving us points for the fact that we all had Forest to win, because technically we did win the game, but it was technically a draw, so no points there. Matt was the only person who gave Exeter a go, but that goal was McGuinness that he had down, so he gets a point for that. Andy had 2-0 Forest, Wood and Ilanga, sadly no points. I had 3-0 Forest, Dominguez, Awonyi and Sosa, so I bagged myself 2 points. Stu had 2-0 Forest with Awonyi and Sosa, so he bugs himself 2 points. Matt, as we said before, had 3-1 Forest. McGuinness for Exeter, which we've already covered. He also had Yates, Awonyi and Sosa. So we obviously knew that Sosa was due, and obviously Big T was going to get game minutes. So we all got points there, apart from Andy, sadly. So 2 points for me, 2 points for Stu, 3 points for Matt. Andy still yet to score. Our second game of the week was completed mere minutes ago at Turf Moor, where Burnley were taking on Hull. Now, usually, Mr. Woodmansey would have been able to watch us on the Sky Sports Plus channel, but sadly, his subscription was not working tonight, so he was unable to watch it.
All of the technology in my house tonight, apart from the medium by which you can hear my voice right now, seem to simultaneously shit the bed. So unfortunately, yes. So we're looking. Hull City were looking for their 4th away win on the bounce. Wasn't really going to happen, really, was it? Playing against Burnley, who have conceded no times since the end of last year. Is that right now? So the only goalkeeper.
The only goals they've conceded have been in the FA Cup since the turn of the year.
So are we still on for the? Is it the returning Mr. Watt to come back?
As it stands, JJ Watt will have to come out of retirement and play for the Cincinnati Bengals next season.
Still mental.
Can you just imagine, like every game, it'd just be like, for fuck's sake, it'd be the best ever.
I think it's hilarious that he'll have to come out of retirement and then he'll have to physically ask the Arizona Cardinals to trade his rights to another team. And when they say why, he'll have to say, well, I promised my goalkeeper that I would.
No, he's going to have to go full actual football mode and go like Peter Odemwingie in his car to the car park and be like, but yeah. You see, I jinxed it. I said my technology wasn't going to let me down, and it just tried to turn itself off halfway through. Managed to catch that. So unfortunately, I didn't see much. I have briefly seen the goals, and obviously, I have seen the result. Being as Burnley ran out 2-0 winners, the game was done and dusted by half time. Many might even suggest it was done after 3 minutes when Bashir Humphreys struck from outside the box. It was a ball to the deep left-hand side of Burnley's attack, floated over the head of Louis Coyle, who decided to go nowhere near the attacker whatsoever. Managed to give him just enough space to lay it to the edge of the box, where the left back ran onto it and smashed it full pelt across, pretty much a P-roller, but imagine at speed, into the bottom right-hand corner. It was a good strike, to be fair. The kid's on loan from Chelsea, but in fairness, no one's picking a left back to score, are they? So, 18 minutes later, Zion Fleming headed Burnley into a 2-0 lead that came from a Jadon Anthony cross. It looked like a good cross. It looked like it could have been headed out by our defence, but it wasn't. It was sort of just headed in from the edge of the 6-yard box. And unfortunately, Hull remain inside the relegation zone now after back-to-back defeats, obviously at home and then away. Behind fourth bottom, Derby County on goal difference.
Derby County, who moved a step closer to appointing a replacement manager for the sacked Paul Warne, as they were granted permission to speak with John Eustace, who's currently managing Blackburn Rovers, who find themselves very much not in the bottom three, or in the bottom four, or in the relegation zone at all, or in the relegation mix, as they're in the top six. Apparently, the reports are that he asked to be granted permission to speak with Derby after he was unhappy with the level of backing he was given in the transfer market. Strange. Obviously, that interlude has got absolutely nothing to do with this game, but might potentially affect Hull moving forward if Derby have a more competent manager who might be able to get them away from danger. Podcast predictions wise, Andy was the most optimistic. They've gone for a 1-0 Hull win with Kamara to score the goal, so sadly he gets 0 points. The rest of us all had a Burnley win. Matt had gone 1-0 with Brownhill to score, so just gets the 1 point for the win. I'd gone 3-1 Burnley, so I also had Hull to score. Sadly, no goal scorers for me. I had Foster, Anthony, and Edwards with João Pedro to score for Hull, so just a point for the result for me. Stu had 2-1 Burnley. Anthony, Fleming, and Barry to score for Hull, so gets us a bonus point for the Zian Fleming goal. So 2 points for Stu, point apiece for myself and Matt. Andy still yet to score. And our third and final game of the week took place at Bramall Lane, where second in the league, Sheffield United were taking on my lot, Middlesbrough. And as seems to be the case with a lot of Middlesbrough's games recently, they found themselves on the back foot within about 8 seconds of the game starting. Sheffield United very much took the game to Middlesbrough from the off. Couple of chances to score. Borough then tried to sort of get them on the counter attack and also had a couple of chances. But the scoring was opened on the 32nd minute when Sheffield United had an attack through the middle with a driving run from Gustavo Hamer. He picked out a little ball into the edge of the box for Callum O'Hare to run onto. He took a touch, and Ryan Giles was round on the cover to try and block off the run. Only proceeded in blocking off his own goalkeeper as they ran into each other, and the ball squirmed loose into the path of Jezeran Raksaki, who bundled the ball home from about 6 yards out. The latest in a long line of Borough basically just giving a goal away to the opposition. Not great at all. And from that point, I'm not going to lie. I felt the worst was potentially to come. As I just felt Borough were on the back foot. Sheffield United had them on the ropes. One of those games where you just relentless pressure, can't get out of your own half. But they did manage to equalise on the stroke of half time in very controversial circumstances, we'll say the least. There was a corner whipped into the box, and the ref blew for a penalty, as it appeared that George Edmondson had been bundled to the floor, pulled by Jack Robinson. When they played the incident back, I thought it was, at first glance, I thought it was a bit harsh anyway to give a penalty, and it's one of those ones where if it's given against your team, you're absolutely fuming. But actually watching it back, Edmondson is the one who instigates the pulling to start off with. So he's kind of played a bit of a blinder there. Yeah, not a penalty for me, but obviously we'll take whatever we get given. Bergzog picked up the ball. Fair play to him, because he had to stand with it for about 3 or 4 minutes as they were sort of sorting out the melee that had taken place in the box. A lot of pushing and shoving, a lot of name calling, I believe 1 or 2 handbags had to be separated from players at the scene. Actually, never nice to see. Purses everywhere, coins, lipstick, the lot, the works. It all had to be picked up. It was disgraceful scenes, really. But Bergzorg kept himself composed, stuck the ball on the spot, sent the keeper the wrong way, and equalised for the Borough to make it 1-1 at half time. Into the second half, pretty much more of the same. Sheffield United dictating the pace of the play. Borough did come into it actually a little bit, sort of more like around the sort of the hour mark, and looked like they potentially could get something out of the game. Kelechi Iheanacho was making his first start for the game for the Borough since joining on deadline day from Seville on loan to the end of the season. Sam Illing Jr. got his first start as well off the right hand side. Didn't look as effective as Ben Doak does in the same position, but Iheanacho had a couple of decent chances that he snatched at and blazed them way over the bar. And Borough were actually pushing for the next goal in the game when they were caught on the counter on the 75th minute, as has happened in the last game against Sunderland. George Edmondson and Ryan Giles not talking to each other, not in communication at all, not tight enough to each other, trying to play the offside trap. The Sheffield United player just releases a straight ball through the middle of the park for Ben Brereton, no other known surname, to latch onto. Gets to the edge of the box and just a lovely little lift over the onrushing keeper to put it in the back of the net. A bit of almost had a bit of a sort of like a Latin American flair to it. That finish, it was strange for a man who's from Stoke. But yeah, 75th minute, Sheffield United 2-1 up. And
tell you what, actually, on that note, probably Ryan Giles and your centre half were probably further apart than Brereton Diaz's plane ride home to Chile.
Further apart than him and his supposed second part of his surname. Yeah, don't remember that being anywhere near his birth certificate. Interesting.
Hey, it was on his shirt. Be nice.
Well, it's on his shirt, but I'll tell you where it's not, and that is on the Sky Sport app. Let me show you what they have got him listed as.
This is Paul's coming out party, everybody. He's got a secret job for Sky Sports.
Who scored that second goal?
I mean, it looks more like you're trying to show us the first name of the guy who scored the third at that point. But
yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, it was made 3-1 on the 87th minute as Ahmed Hodzic made it 3-1. There was a petition going around the CookieCast podcast network where it was rumoured that Mr. Andrew Cook was going to be pronouncing the name of the third goal scorer. Yes, Mr. Ahmed Hodzic. I would say he leapt like a salmon to finish beautifully at the back post, but no, all he did was basically jump, and the Middlesbrough goalkeeper, for some reason, decided that catching the ball and being strong wasn't in his repertoire for this particular corner routine, as he went to claim the ball with absolutely no vim and vigour whatsoever, was beaten comfortably with the header from Mr. Ahmed Hodzic at the back post. Not the best. 3-1 Sheffield United. They've allowed their ex-manager to get one over on them, take the 3 points. The second game in consecutive games that they've conceded 3. It's a third loss on the spin, and it leaves them, I believe, as far down the table as 9th, I believe it was. Still only 3 points outside the playoffs, but an alarming run of form, shall we say, has left them potentially as an outside chance for getting into the top 4, and now they're clinging on to the hopes of maybe finishing in the top 6. They need a run of form, and they need it quick. Otherwise, the season is going to peter out to absolute dick all. And I think that Mr. Carrick might be seeking his employ elsewhere, potentially. as the squad has been assembled at not exactly a small cost. So, and he can't really make the excuse that he hasn't got his players because he's had 5 or 6 transfer windows now to put his team together and should be doing better with the resources that have been spent on the team, I would say. Predictions-wise, Matt had gone for a 2-2 draw. Brewster and Brereton Diaz to score for Sheffield United. Whitaker and Forbes to score for the Borough. So just the 1 point for the Brereton Diaz goal there. Andy had gone for a 2-0 Middlesbrough win. Iheanacho and Bergzorg. The one positive from this is that Bergzorg scored for the 3rd game running. So I'll take that. Point there for Andy for the Bergzorg goal. Myself and Stu, we were no mugs though. We definitely saw that there was going to be a Sheffield United win here. Stu went 1-0 with Brereton Diaz, 2 points. I went 2-0 with Brewster and just plain old Ben Brereton from Stoke to score for me. So, yeah, 2 points, which means Andy finishes the week with 1 point from 3 games. Myself and Matt, 5 points from 3 games, but taking the win. 2 points from each game this week gives Mr. Woodmansey 6 points overall and the win. So, 3 games to come in week 25. Just one piece of business from me. Middlesbrough, obviously the transfer window is closed, but the transfer window is still open in other parts of the country, in other parts of the world. They announced this week that left back Lucas Engel has left the club to join Cincinnati FC in the MLS until the end of the... Well, it says the end of the year. So I would imagine it's the end of the season, but it will be the MLS season, I believe. Need to potentially look into that one. But yes, Lucas Engel, never really happened for him in a Borough shirt. Came in as the replacement for Ryan Giles after his loan move wasn't made permanent from Luton. Struggled to get up to sort of the pace of the English game, really. He came into it a little bit more towards the end of last season, but I think they always knew that the left back was a position they wanted to strengthen. And yes, it would seem as though his time with the Borough has come to an end, if not permanently, certainly for the foreseeable future. So yeah, he'll be at Cincinnati for the remainder of certainly the Borough season, potentially on long past that. I don't believe there's been any incomings or outgoings at Hull.
As one outgoing.
Oh, is it the goalkeeper that's joined Hartlepool United on loan?
No, I didn't know about that one. It must be a youth team one.
Yeah.
It's Abdush Omar. So he was very much Ozan Tufan's running mate when they came to the club. Shocked to absolutely nobody. He came to us from Turkey. Has gone back to Turkey to a team, and this is my just desserts, Andy, for starting said petition earlier on. Seiko Rizespor. On loan until the end of the current season. Another one I would suggest has played his final game for Hull. Ironically, as well, is the poster boy for the month of February on the current Hull City calendar.
It's not ideal, is it? They've almost done a Plymouth there.
Yeah, and even more so in the sense of they've managed to make him like the player for the month after the transfer window has closed, but he's still gone anyway.
Lovely stuff. Yes, so that's the transfer roundup, even though the transfer window is closed. Work that one out. Like I said, week 25 brings with it 3 games. We will bring you our predictions for those 3 games right after we have a very short break. So don't do anything. Don't be going anywhere. Don't touch that dial. We will be right back after this. And just like that break we discussed is over. And we have some predicting to do. So, week 25's first game sees Fulham taking on Nottingham Forest in the Premier League. Obviously, Mr. Moore's team, he will give his prediction last. I'll jump in. I've gone for a 2-2 draw on this one. I'm going to go the piece for Jimenez and Smith Rowe with Wood and Gibbs White to score for Fulham. Andy, what have you got for Fulham versus Nottingham Forest?
I've got Forest winning 2-0. Wood and Awonyi.
Ooh, now, I've written your Wood goal down. Obviously, with the Awonyi situation, with the sort of the blow he took to the head on Tuesday, potential that he might not make the game because of like concussions and stuff like that. So, do you want to go with him, or do you want to maybe change him out for a second goal scorer?
So I'd originally put down Hudson-Odoi, but I wasn't sure of status, so doubled back and went with Awonyi. But
Well, let me have a look and see whether he was in the squad for.
he's still listed on the website, which is part of the reason I was going to go for him. But I don't remember seeing his name recently. I didn't know.
So he wasn't in the squad for the cup game.
Yeah.
However, let me have a look and see if he was in the squad for the previous league game. Not in the squad for the game against Brighton.
No, like I say, the reason I didn't pick him was for the purpose of not seeing his name recently. So, if that is that, then Alanga?
I like it. Obviously, hit 3 assists in the 7-0 rout of Brighton. Stu, what have you got down for Fulham Forest?
1-1. I've got Wood for Forest and Traore for Fulham.
Traore. I remember when he was a headless chicken running down the wing at the Bullet. What a time to be alive. So Matt has gone for a 2-1 Fulham win. Interesting. He's obviously thinking that he didn't like what he saw on Tuesday night, and he's punishing himself accordingly. He's gone for Jimenez and Muniz to score for Fulham, Wood to score for Nottingham Forest. Our second game of Saturday takes place in the Championship and sees Hull City taking on Norwich City. Now, obviously, this is Mr. Woodmansey's team. That's why he will give his prediction, Matt. Matt's gone for a nice straightforward 1-0 home win with Gelhard to score the goal. I, however, have gone for a 1-1 draw. I think up until Norwich lost last night, they were in a pretty good run of form. So, yes, a 1-1 draw, I believe, would be a sensible pick here. I've gone for Crooks and Borja Saints to score for Norwich. Andy?
If you get rid of that Norwich goal, me and you park our cars in the same garage. 1-0 to Hull with Crooks to score.
Right. How many Norwich goals am I putting down, Mr. Woodmansey?
9.
2.
And how many Hull goals am I putting down?
1.
Oh no.
So I've got Joseph for Hull, and I've got Sargent and Dobbin for Norwich.
Sergeant Dobbin. Lovely. Any particular reason, or just you don't fancy
Mainly because we're shit.
Oh, that old chestnut, eh?
Particularly because we're playing at home. So yeah, that form's not been great. Because let's not talk about the Stoke game or perhaps losing to Doncaster in the FA Cup, albeit on penalties, or yeah, or anything all the way back to before Christmas, when our last home win occurred against teams that probably aren't on paper as good as Norwich. So I believe realist is the phrase.
Yeah, not ideal. So, our third and final game of the week sees my lot, Middlesbrough, taking on Watford. This is a battle of two of the very much not form teams in the division. Just looking on the back of this, Borough, 5 losses in their last 6 games. Watford, 4 losses in their last 6 games. 1 win, 1 draw. Oh, good God. It's my team. I'll give my prediction last. Matt has gone for a 2-1 Borough win. What a mentalist. Whitaker, Iheanacho for the Borough. Shaq Fatadzi for Watford. Andy, what have you got now for Borough versus Watford?
2-0 to Borough. What, Doak and Bergzorg?
Right. Bergzorg should be fine. Doak is still weeks away from being fit. I don't think we'll see him until at least March.
When I picked him, I was like, I have a weird feeling that stick me down for Iheanacho then. Because again, that was my other choice.
Like what I saw in parts tonight, he's gonna need games. He's gonna need time to get up to speed. But I do think there's goals in there. Stu?
1-1. Mr. Overdue himself, Azaz for the Borough. And Kayembe for Watford. I think you both got a bit of a pasting in your most recent games. So it'll probably be fairly cagey, I should imagine.
Yep. Having looked at the form book, I was so tempted to go for a 0-0 on this one. And which they've both just gone, right, we're both so shit that we just need a blanket reset across the board. If Warnock was in charge and he's lost the game 3-1, you just know this is going to be one of those games where they're like, right, just do not concede. Don't give anything away free. Just because at the moment, that's the worst thing about watching the Borough at the moment. It's like, you know they're going to concede at some point, and you know it's not going to be through some sort of individual brilliance on the opposition's part. It's going to be that they're going to fuck it up. They're going to basically piss about with it at the back, or the two of them are going to run into each other, or something like that's going to happen. But I just can't see him keeping a clean sheet. So I've gone for a 2-2 draw. I've gone for a goal each for Iheanacho and Conway. And then I've gone for a bit of a combination of yours and Matt's. I've gone for Kayembe and Chakmatadze. Let's go on this one. Yeah, from a season that promised so much, it's looking like it's petering out to a great big pile of shit. So,
I mean, it could be worse, Paul.
I know it's not really. It's. Do you reckon there's some sort of like law that between the sort of the three of us, only one of us is allowed to have like a decent sort of team at any one point? Because it appears as though me and you have got to deal with the shit, whilst Matt's team gets in the fucking Champions League. Not good.
Which means that technically then we'll still have another season of that at least, if that's the rule. Because I suppose even if they get knocked out early doors, they're still going to be a better finish than we've ever had. So.
So that's the end of this week's podcast. Unless anyone has anything they'd like to bring to the table. Well, in that case, obviously, as always, thank you to you, the listeners, for tuning in and joining us this week and every week, no less. However, if this is your first time, if you've stumbled across the podcast, obviously welcome. You're very welcome to join us on a weekly basis, as we are here each and every week to bring you the details of Borough, Forest, and Hull. But it's not just football we talk about here. Every week, there's also the Straight to the Apex podcast, the Formula One guys. They like to knock out the content on a weekly basis. We also have a monthly wrestling roundup podcast where we discuss the ongoing happenings of the Premier League, the WWE Premium Live events that are on the agenda. The Royal Rumble was mere weeks ago. We made predictions for that, so keep your eye out in the next couple of weeks as the Elimination Chamber predictions that will be coming your way. And of course, the jewel in the crown is, of course, Mr. Cook's Darkest Timeline podcast. That's also a weekly update. No video with that one, just audio.
Yeah.
Mr. Cook takes you through the innermost workings of his deeply, deeply twisted brain. It's quite something. It's quite something. So yes, thank you very much for listening. If you are new, please share, subscribe, like, follow, all that jazz. Join us again next week where we'll go through the predictions we just made for those 3 games and we'll look ahead to more games the following week. But for now, take care of yourselves, keep an eye for each other. We'll see you back here in a week's time. Tatty bye for now.
So there we go, what do you think to that? Another one done, another one gone. All those games gone, but more games to look forward to. What more could you want? Big thank you for watching, big thank you for listening, big thank you for being here. Before you go, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review and check out the website, thecookiecast.com. There we've got social media links and an email button, and that way you can get in touch with us. That's it for this one. Till next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
Thank you for listening to these grumpy old men talk about football. If you've enjoyed this episode, please like, share and subscribe.